Hi everyone, it's Prashelle with Peaceful Living. As you know, I moved to Lisbon, Portugal almost a year and a half ago, and I have waited to do this video because I wanted to get an idea of the vibe of the city before I reported on this. I can tell you our experience here has been so enjoyable and so fun and just a breath of fresh air, to tell you the truth. And so I'm here to tell you about our culture shocks. And when I say I forgot to mention in a previous video, but I did move here with my partner of 9 years. And so we're here and we're having a good time. We do go back to Atlanta, but we're here, and I just thought it was a wonderful time just to tell you about some quirky culture shocks that we both had. Your experience will be totally different than ours. And I also want to tell you, with this list of 20 culture shocks, that it's not in any type of order. I literally was just up and I had been collecting them as we went along in our journey here. And so it's in no particular order, and they're all overwhelmingly positive. I have gotten a few people who've asked, how come you never say anything negative about Portugal? And it's almost like, this is why I don't. I don't want anyone to come into my house and then go back and tell their friends something bad about my home. Does that make sense? So even if it's something that is maybe perceived as negative, or something that an experience that we've had that was, not the best, it's not for me to report on unless it's something that occurs all the time. That's a warning. But other than that, our experience has been very enjoyable, and we're living very peaceful, harmonious existences here, and it's been really fun. So without much further ado, here are the 20 culture shocks on my list. First is, there doesn't seem to be top sheets. There are top sheets here, but they don't seem to use top sheets. And I've been told that this is actually prevalent throughout Europe. And in the States, we make up our bed. We have our fitted sheet, right? The bottom sheet. Then we have our flat sheet, which is the top sheet. And then we have our comforter or blanket or duvet. Here, it's the bottom sheet, and then they just jump straight to the duvet. And how I know it is because when we're between apartments, we stay in a lot of Airbnbs all throughout the city to try to figure out where we wanted to live. And out of all the Airbnbs that we stayed in, not one used top sheets. So it's not a bad thing. It's just something that I noticed, and it's just kind of funny because I know Americans, we're used to having that extra layer between our comforter or duvet and our bottom sheet, and there's just not that here. So that's interesting. Number two is that the food here, when you get food off of Uber Eats, or even if you just walk in and grab takeout, which takeout doesn't seem to be like a big thing here, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but the food is packaged so well. I don't understand how the couriers are even able to keep everything nice and neat, but from the restaurant, they package the food here so beautifully, and they also do all sorts of like flowery decorations. This is not with every meal, but I've noticed that their creativity when it comes to how they package food and how food is presented, they put a lot of time and energy into it. And honestly, even though the food is amazing here, it makes the food taste that much better. All right, number three, I didn't realize, and this is something that was really surprising to me, that there is a huge population of Indian and Nepali people. And so there's so many Indian restaurants here, which to my extreme pleasure and delight, I love Indian food. It's so varied depending on where you get it from and what area of India it comes from. It's so varied. Indian food is amazing, full of flavor, full of spice. One of our favorite restaurants here in Lisbon is called Royal Spice. Amazing food. So it was just really nice to see all the different variation in restaurants. It's not just Indian, it's a whole bunch of different types of restaurants restaurants. And they also do, even though I'm not vegan or vegetarian, they also do vegan and vegetarian so well that my meat eating partner can go to a vegan restaurant and feel completely satisfied off of a meal that has no animal proteins. Also, the diversity of people and the diversity of languages that you hear here was striking to me. I was not expecting it to be as culturally diverse as it is. Case in point, my barber, who is located not too far from here. When I go into his shop to get my hair cut, he speaks 5 different languages. He's from the country of Guinea in West Africa. He and I are cousins. We always say we're cousins because we cut from the same cloth. My people are from Guinea as well. And he speaks French, Italian, Portuguese, English, and I think like 2 other languages. And so he's always talking back and forth to his friends in the barber shop, and they're speaking these languages that I've never heard of before, and they're just speaking it so beautifully. And I'm like, this is like the perfect place because you get to hear so many different types of sounds, and it just opens up your mind and actually helps to lift your vibration as well. Number 4, the wine selection here is bananas. It is absolutely incredible, all the different types of wine that are offered here. So much so that next time we go back, I'm gonna talk to the manager about possibly offering more types of Portuguese wine. When you go into like the big box retail wine and liquor stores, they have like these really small, if they have it all, these really small sections of Portuguese wine, French, Italian, obviously the first world wines are in prevalence, but the Portuguese wines are so small. And it's unfair because there's so much good wine here. I'm gonna show you 2 wines. This one is from Adega. They have a winery in Belém, or I think it's in Ajuda, actually. But we went to their winery and we got a couple of bottles of this wine. It's like a limited edition wine. I shouldn't even say it. You already know because you've seen me do it in like several videos, but we literally have become big time wine drinkers here. Not like that, but we have really enjoyed the different selections and the varied styles and different varietals of wine here. It's been incredible. Now this one is an interesting one because I've noticed this 3 times already. One time it happened with my partner and it happened twice with me. We have tried to return items to the store, and it seems like returns are either not so common or just like frowned upon because what we were returning had not been opened, had not been used, and it just felt like, you know, it's just not something that that they wanted to do. I'll leave it at that because I really don't know for sure, but it's happened 3 times already. And I'm like, maybe they just, you know, Americans, we're consumers and we consume. And so people are just used to taking, you know, things back to the store if something doesn't work. And honestly, it doesn't matter if it's been open, and sometimes it's been used and the store will still take it back. But here it just does not seem like the case. So maybe someone in the comments jump in and let me know if this is something that you've experienced, or if you know why returns seem to be frowned upon here. That's the best word that I could use right now. As you can tell, I'm sniffling through this video, so this is a bonus one. I did not know that my allergies would be what they are here. I tend to have more allergic reactions here. Even when I lived in Georgia around like March, April is so thick, the air is so thick with pollen that it turns the cars yellow. I haven't seen that happen here, but I have noticed that my allergies do kick up a lot here. I had to go get some nasal spray just to kind of help to combat them. But yeah, if you have allergies, just kind of watch out for that and make sure that you bring your allergy meds with you. You will find allergy meds at the pharmacies, and I found that they're really good and they do work. But for some reason, mine are just, they've been kicking up all of a sudden here. So I'm a little nasally today. That was another point, but I wasn't expecting to put on the video, but it was a shock to me, so why not? faster. Number 10 is the lack of advertisements and the lack of flashing signs. I love it, but it was something that's shocking to me because I guess, you get used to a lot of stimulus around you, sale and come here and do this, and advertisements on the radio, advertisements on the TV, advertisements online, of course, advertisements everywhere out. When you leave the house, you're just being completely bombarded with ads. And here, a lot of the businesses are mom and pop that don't have big red and yellow sell signs in the window, and I found that to be very nice. I feel like sometimes advertisements are overly done, and it's very easy to fall into consumerism that way. But here, I don't see a lot of advertisements or billboards. All right, next up is just being able to leave the house and to be in peace. It's a kind of peace that I've only felt a few other times in my life, and I talk about that in a previous video. In fact, this channel is all about creating more peace and beauty. And the reason why is because of all of the peace that I've experienced here. We can leave the house, we can go for walks, it doesn't matter what time of day, and we feel like, I don't want to say we feel like nothing's going to happen to us, because that makes it seem like the place that we've come from is so terrible that every time we leave the house things happen, and that's not true. I don't want to put that out there. That's not the right energy. But I do want to say that we do feel at peace, and walking has become a form of entertainment for us, which I think I'm going to add that to the list, because that's something that I never would have expected. Whenever we leave the house and go for a walk, that walk is entertainment. Like, there's nothing else that needs to be done for the day, even for the week. I walk almost every day anyway, but even for the week, there's nothing else that needs to be done. There's so much to see and do during a walk that walking becomes your entertainment. I don't have to go here to be entertained. I don't have to go to the movie theaters. I don't have to do this and miniature golf and all that stuff. I can just go for a walk, and that is my entertainment for the day. And I love that. But yeah, still a little shocking for me that this is our life now, and this is how we live it. Another thing that I found shocking is not so much the amount of graffiti here, because before we came, I looked at plenty of walking videos and I saw graffiti in each one. But there is a difference between graffiti and the murals and the street art that you see. And you see a lot of street art, and a lot of it is really, really good. I love art. I've been collecting art for 20 plus years, so I know a lot about art. And I can tell you here that there are some very talented and creative artists here, and they will paint murals in the most obscure places. And it will be something that you want to go and enjoy and take pictures of, and maybe throw it up on IG or whatever you do with that. But yeah, the street art here is really good. Another thing that I really enjoy about here, but still was a little bit of a shock, is that there is a live and let live type of vibe here, where I just feel like you're just left alone. Like, no one bothers you here. You can just leave, like I said, go for a walk, and you just feel like, even though you're amongst people, you just feel so free. It really does feel like a live and let live. I'm from California, but I moved here from Georgia, but I spent 30 plus years of my life in California, and it reminds me of how I grew up with the live and let live. Californians tend to be, I don't want to overgeneralize, but from my experience, Californians we're the laid back ones, we're the relaxed ones, we're the really cool ones, the chill ones, and that's how it feels here, where it's live and let live, and I do appreciate that type of mentality. Another culture shock that I experienced, which I talked about in a video that I made, I think it was like last March or April, is the working out and the fitness culture here oh my God, it is amazing. It is so incredibly motivating. I'm gonna make a video in a few weeks about my fitness journey here. I have lost so much weight here. I live so much healthier than I did, and there is that energy here that pushes you and motivates you to really, live your best life and to be in shape. Another culture shock that I experienced is I had heard and read that this was a very peaceful place, and there are many peaceful places here on this earth. Portugal is not the only peaceful place on the earth, but being able to live in immense peace, I have been the most productive I have ever been in my entire life over the past year and a half, because I have peace of mind, because I can think clearly, I eat better, I exercise more, I walk more, I'm out in nature, and it's just because I feel like mentally and spiritually, I feel so grounded. And that's why I started talking about high vibe living and living a high vibe life, because that's where I am right now. I feel like completely grounded and completely high vibe. So my life is just better because I live in a place that's just peaceful, and just not having to worry about things that may happen in other places that completely random. But I do feel a tremendous amount of peace here, and it's very, very nice, but very shocking too, because I wasn't expecting to feel so peaceful. Okay, another thing that I've experienced and I've seen that I wasn't expecting is, and I'm trying to think of the best word to describe this. The architecture here, especially some of the newer buildings, is very future focused, very futuristic. I've been to a few different places and I've seen some new developments just out walking, and I'm like, my goodness. Some of the bars and just night places that I've walked past, the lighting is incredible. I mean, the way that they work with lighting and the way that light is able to, is designed so that it bounces off the walls in certain areas, and it creates this luminescence that I have never seen before. And I've been to a lot of places, I've never seen lighting done so well. And along with that, the design and interior design, I should say, because I'll walk past the furniture store and I'll have to, pull out my phone and snap a picture. I have seen such beautiful furnishings here, and I understand there's a place here that you can, I think it's a town or a city up north that you can go to, and it's just like full of furnishings, and people go there and buy furnishings for their home and businesses, and I heard that it has a designation. Is it like the furniture capital of Europe, something like that? But I'll research that and put that in the description box below. But yeah, when it comes to design, Portuguese design is completely, and I think severely, underrated. Okay, next up is a personal issue for me. This doesn't mean that things are this way, it's just the way that I perceive it. So please don't knock me in the comments, because this is probably not true for most people. But me personally, I feel like Lisbon is kind of scary at night. Yes, I said scary. I don't mean it it's like not a dangerous or criminal way, but just because, Europe is old, okay? We all know, if you've traveled throughout Europe, Europe is old. Portugal is old. And Lisbon, even though a lot of the buildings here have been modernized, there's still some really old buildings here. And walking around at night, let me tell you what happened. Okay, so Miss Big Bad Wolf here decided that she was going to take a walk by herself at night. I left when my partner was on the phone, and I didn't get very far because when I turned the corner, it was like no one out. And it looked so scary to me. It wasn't dark, but it just looked so like scary that I just turned around and came back in the house. So For me, it's, if I'm walking at night, and I feel totally safe walking at night, by the way. But if I'm out, I try to make it home before dark because I do get a little bit of, a little bit of nervous energy, but I'm scared of everything anyway, so whatever. But yeah, that was something that was kind of shocking to me, is how old things are and um, how scary things can look at night to me. And last but not least, there's so many doors in Lisbon, and there's so many nooks and crannies and places that are just like begging and screaming to be explored. And I love that, because you never know what's behind some of these doors, and you never will know all of it because there's so many. And there'll be like cute little restaurants and eateries and shops that sell all kinds of different items, and that kind of goes along with it being so many nooks and crannies, is that I still get to exchange money for products and services. I love being able to support small businesses. And when I mean small businesses, it's things that I'm going to buy anyway. So case in point, I get my groceries from a grocery store. No big deal. Everyone gets their groceries from the grocery store, right? But there are several markets around me that I know are owned by, one or two people. And I might get like oranges from those shops, or just something small, so that I can go in and support that business and feel like I'm helping that business. And that actually helps me, because I believe that you should spend your money in the direction of how you want your life. I support small businesses. I always will. I have a small business, and I appreciated the support that was given to me, and I love being able to pay that forward. So anyway, those have been some culture shocks that I've experienced. What have you experienced here? If you have ever visited or you live here, tell me about it below. And as I say in every single video, I make the content that you want to see. So if you want me to make a video about a certain subject having to do with high vibe living, heavenly vibes, anything that I've talked about on my channel, let me know. And if I see enough people liking it and responding to it, then I will definitely put it on my video list for the future. This has been Prashelle. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.